So here's what I did. I ended up using 1-inch copper pipes. My pipes are 1 inch downstairs. The Phyn actually has a 3/4 inch pipe. It comes with two of the sort of water meter couplers or couplings. As you can see, these brass ones over here. But I ended up finding a 3/4 to 1 inch pipe. That way I don't have to have two different sized pipes in my system. I'm going to be using 1 inch pipes, and I actually ended up going with type L, which is the thicker one, even though I didn't really need to. I think a type M would have been fine, but my pipes downstairs are type L, so I figured why not stick with the same. So you can see the short part from here to here, where this ball valve is, that's going to be slightly smaller than the section I just showed you earlier on the left side where the plywood is, but you can see the overall length is pretty high, so it's pretty long. So I wanted to make sure, obviously, it would fit on that one side of the wall. I use 3-inch copper pipes in between, only because I wanted to have some clearance just in case I needed to cut it in the future or take this thing out. I also put in ball valves just in case I had to do some work on this or replace it with something or even choose a whole new system. A lot of guys are just, a lot of people are just, putting it directly into the water line and not doing anything in case, but I wanted to make sure that I could have water in case I had to take this thing out of service. So I have ball valves in there, and these are 1-inch ball valves. So this is a dry fit. I'm going to be soldering all this stuff. These are 1-inch pipes. There are a ton of videos online where you can see how to solder, some great ones actually. I'm not a professional by any means, but I'm an avid DIYer, and I'm really excited to do this. I've already practiced on 3/4. I've done some ball valves, so now I'm going to be trying to solder this. Alright, just want to show you guys what I did. I was able to solder 2 of the ball valves, 3 of them, and I'm going to put them into sections. I haven't connected them yet because of just angles. I want to make sure the angles are good. I didn't put the T in yet because I want to make sure, because of the profile of the Phyn coming out, these things are going to be like angled like this, coming out a little bit possibly. And so the T, I want to make sure the angle is going to be correct. So I didn't put that T in yet. So what I'm going to do now is basically cut. So I did basically everything for the Phyn. I need to solder some more because I'm going to be putting in a water filtration system. So I'm going to be doing the same thing, basically putting another ball valve with 2 3-inch sides. And I want to show you how that's done. I've seen a lot of good YouTube things online, really good, showing you how to basically solder and cut pipe. So I figured I'd also chime in some really good YouTube things out there. So basically you need the right tools to do it. I have a pretty big cutter here. I thought I had 1 1/4 inch, so I needed a larger one. I ended up not needing this. I needed only a 1 inch. And I got a small imp cutter because I needed to basically be able to cut close quarters. But since we're out here, I'm going to just be cutting 2 3-inch pieces and then reaming them out, and the inside deburring them. And also to get a good solder, you have to make sure you deburr, make sure there's no turbulence in the water. And also, so that means on the inside here, you have to basically ream it out, and these come with reamers built in. I don't know if you guys can see that. That one is used to ream it, and then the outside use sandpaper or emery cloth, which I have here, and I'm going to be sanding it afterwards to make it really shiny, and so we can solder it. If you had 3/4 inch ones, they have these things that are built in half inch reamer on the inside and outside, and also 3/4 inside outside. But I have 1-inch pipes that I'm using, so I'm not going to be able to use this. I did end up getting a 1-inch inside. I'm cutting off the tip of it and putting in a drill, which I learned from YouTube. That goes a lot quicker. You add it to the drill, and you're able to drill the inside of a fitting way better than you would by hand. All right. So here we go. I'm going up to the 6-inch mark. So this cutter here is pretty good. I actually like it a lot. Now the trick with this, which I've again heard online, is to make sure you don't tighten too much. There's 6-inch, and then basically spin it, rotate it a couple times, and then tighten only 1/4. If you tighten it too hard, it's going to be really hard to... There we go. It's going to be really hard to turn it, and it could make the pipe go out of round. This one's type L, so it'll be harder to put out a round, but you saw how easy it was. The other one is, I wanted to show you, was the imp cutter, which is right here. This one actually goes to 1 inch, so I'm able to use it. It just barely fits. So again, I'm going to be measuring, looking at the blade, which is right about there. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. There it is, 3 inch. And I'm going to be tightening it. You could use a sawzall, a hacksaw, even an angle grinder. But the tube cutters are the cleanest. So same thing, there we go. Okay. Not bad, relatively close, 3 inches. And that's the first part cutting. Now again, you should deburr these, even if they're cut well. A lot of guys don't, and you probably should, because it can cause problems. Make sure the shavings don't stay in the pipes, because that'll cause problems. So I'm using a 1 inch ball valve. It's by Apollo. Obviously you can use whatever brand you want. I'm taking the lever off when I solder, just to be extra safe. This is what it looks like without the lever. This brand says you can, I believe it says you can solder it open or closed. I'm leaving it in the open position. I feel like it's just better. That way you can let the heat dissipate on the other side while you're soldering. Alright, so here's the 1 inch wire brush cut off, and then I'm going to be putting it in my drill here just so I can make it a lot easier to clean inside of the fittings, elbows and such. So I'm taking the ball valve and just cleaning up the inside, scuffing it up a little bit. Not too much. Good. A lot easier with this drill than it is by hand. Other side. Should be enough. You can look on the inside. Make sure it's clean in there. I don't know if you can really see that, but it's like scuffed up a little bit on the inside each, so the flux can and the solder can attach pretty well. Now for the actual pipes themselves, I'm only going to solder one side each. So I got some emery cloth and some sandpaper. Sometimes you can use a Brillo pad. And I'm just going to clean one side of it. I'm not going to solder both sides, just the one side for now. But you can see you really want it nice and shiny, all the way uniform through. You don't want to see any streaks. That looks pretty good. Let's do it to the other one. Looks good here. Alright, looks pretty good. Tinning flux is really meant to make it easier to solder. It has bits of solder in it, so it makes it easier for beginners like me. Most professionals use regular. This is lead-free for potable water. I have a brush. Alright, so you can be pretty liberal with the flux. Don't go too crazy. You don't want too much flux going into your pipes after you're done. done with the solder itself. Alright, so I'm just going to brush it on. First the valve. And I like to make sure it's coated pretty well on the inside. Again, not blobs, but you want to make sure the entire surface on the inside is flux. Alright, I'm going to flux the pipe. Again, not too much. You want to make sure you're liberal, but not so much where it's going to ooze out. I mean, it's going to ooze, it's going to melt once you put the solder on, or the heat onto it. But you want to make sure it's pretty liberal, make sure all this entire surface, because what's going to happen is, when you heat it up to the right temperature, the solder is going to flow wherever the flux is. So that's why you want to make sure flux is everywhere on the inside of the valve and on the outside of the pipe. Alright, it took some coercion, but I was able to get it. I think it might be because I'm using type L pipes. I don't know. I mean, it's a little harder to put it into the valve. I was able to get it on both sides. Alright, so I'm using a temporary clamp. Again, I'm not professional, so I don't have like a heavy-duty clamp to hold this in, but I'm using some wood just in case. You can see I've already scorched it before. But I also had an elbow, so I can give it some more distance from here when I use a flame on this. And I'm going to start it. Always have your extinguisher just in case. And I'm using actually this solder, I've read really good things about it. Sterling solder. This is lead-free, really strong, really relatively lower melting point compared to other ones. And that'll make it easier to solder. Alright, so again, to be extra cautious about the gasket inside the valve, I really don't want it to burn. I don't want to have leaks. So I'm taking a couple of wet rags, cut into 2-inch strips, and I'm just going to cover the body. That's another reason why I took the lever off as well, so I can do this. Again, a lot of pros will do this only for larger valves, and but again, for me, I'm a pro. I just want some insurance that the valve won't leak or the gasket won't burn. All right, I think that's pretty good. A lot of pros use MAP gas, which burns a lot hotter, and it goes quicker for them. Obviously, they're pros and they're doing a ton of these. I'm using what I have. I have like a propane, a lot of it, so I'm not gonna go out and get a MAP tank for no reason. And it worked pretty well so far. I've done a few, so let's see. Usually, you'll need, depending on what size pipe you have, like if you have a 1/2-inch pipe, you'll need 1/2 inch of solder, 3/4 inch, 3/4 inch pipe, 3/4 inch of solder. But 1 inch, I've been told, and I read on the copper.org site that once you get past 3/4, it's a little bit more. So I'm going to go by eye and see how it goes. You want to basically heat up the pipe first, and then you want to make sure you heat the valve up, but you want to heat up away from the gasket, so the direction away from the gasket, and you want to make sure you heat it all around so you're even heat. You want to touch it and see. I knew it was too early, but I want to show you. That's what they do. They touch it and make sure the pipes are hot enough for the solder. Nope, not hot enough yet. You can see the tinning flux has already started to tin. Valves are definitely harder than standard fitting. There it is. You make sure you get all around. I'm not a pro. You'll see a lot of pros are way better than this. But it's working. Looks pretty good, actually. Alright, once that's done, make sure you wipe off the excess. It's pretty good. Alright, I've turned it around, so let's see if this works better. I think that looks good. Let's try and wipe off the excess. Looks pretty good. Alright, we'll let this cool down. They say you really shouldn't take a wet cloth or anything to try and cool it down because it can cause microfractures. So I'm going to wait till it cools down. You can see the steam coming off the center, so then I'm glad I put that there as protection just in case I don't want the gasket to burn. So I'm going to turn off, and I'm going to turn the tank off and the valve off and let this cool down. Take a look. Alright, so not terrible. Everything's cooled down. It's been a little bit, you can see it's a little ugly there, but it's actually, if you look deep, it's actually gone in. And it looks decently well on this side. And this side looks actually a little bit better. I've done actually, this one I did better than the other ones I've done, so it looks pretty secure. I don't know if you guys can see in there. Yeah. But it looks pretty good. I'm going to double check. The threads look okay. I mean, the gasket, I don't see anything in there. It's hard to tell. But I don't think it got hot enough. You can even see some of the threads there. I don't know if you can barely see that. There's like a thread in there. That's from the gasket that was there before I even started soldering. So, it looks good. I think this is going to be really great, actually. I'm really excited. You can see the ball valve is going to be going, the valve handle goes this way. When it's parallel with the pipe, that means water is going, is allowed through. When it's perpendicular, and so you take the valve and you turn it to the right, and it stops on this little piece here, that means it'll block the flow of water. All right, again, for whenever you want to solder, you want to make sure everything is clean. So, good way to do it. There's gonna be some copper dust in there, so I would probably clean that out a little bit. So here's one tee, looks pretty clean on the inside. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe I can show you before. That's what it looks like before. You can see on the inside, and then see on the inside afterwards. It looks pretty clean. And it looks pretty clean. So then you want to do the same thing as last time with the emery cloth or sandpaper or Brillo pad, which is a lot easier. It's a lot easier to work with gloves, actually, because you get more grip sometimes. You don't tear up your skin. Makes it a lot easier. And of course, when you're soldering, gloves are a no-brainer. To be able to hold things that are warmer to the touch through gloves. Alright, so we did the tees. We only needed to do one side, but we cleaned out both. So now we're going to do the ends of the pipes that we soldered earlier. See, if you do that, it's not enough. So you got to make sure it's thoroughly clean all around. You can see it's still dark, so we're going to make sure it's pretty much very shiny copper throughout the entire pipe. That looks way better. Pretty clean. Let's do the other side. It's actually easier when you cut the emery emery cloth in half, and it's actually when the pipe's hung up, because then you can just wrap it around and pull it back and forth. It's pretty good. Alright. So then we're going to flux again. The fittings versus the valves is going to be a lot quicker. The brass valves take forever to heat. Not forever, but I mean, when you're using propane compared to MAP, it takes a lot longer. Standard flux will be a little more runny. But again, I'm a beginner, and the tinning flux makes it easier. Make sure the solder is good. There's one. Let me hold that there. I'm going to do the inside of this one pipe. Alright, looks pretty good. Now, the way I want to orient this is that the ball valve is going to be facing to the side, if that makes sense. I want to make sure that the T is pointing down. So you can see there, it's pointing straight down. Again, it's not super critical because I'm going to be making adjustments, and the valve handle can change. So there's one side, and let's do the other. So again, some flux. Can you guys see that? I don't know if it's focusing. Jeez. Alright, it looks good. Pretty even coat, nothing too blobby. The other side. Again, because of capillary action, the flux is going to, the solder is going to flow into wherever there's flux. So here's the solder, here's the T, flux inside, here's flux on the outside of the pipe. I'm going to put these together, and there it is. Alright, and we're doing the inside of this one. So it should be a lot quicker. Again, ball fittings get hot much faster than the ball valve, so it should go really, really quick. Pretty good. This is not as wet as it should have been, which is my caught. That looks pretty good. I'm going to turn it around so we can do the other side. I think it looks pretty good. Okay, that looks pretty good. This one shifted a little bit. I want to just reorient it. You could take pliers and just crimp it if it's not holding in place. But I think mine's okay. I think I just moved once I shifted it around. Alright, that's pretty good. You know what? Let me wet these a little bit. Alright, I just wet the towels. I don't think it makes a difference because you're not heating up the wall valve. It didn't even steam or anything. So I'm gonna just start now with the other fitting. Oh, not steaming this time. Wipe this off a little bit. And it looks pretty good. Let's see. Let's check in. Alright, I'll let this cool down and then we'll examine it, make sure it goes okay. Alright, so I figured I'll put together one of the pieces, the union. It's called a union? No, it's called a water meter coupling, I think. These bad boys, to one branch. Goes in here. So basically I'm going to use some Teflon tape and some pipe dope. It might be overkill, but again, I don't want any leaks. I want to make sure this is... Alright, zoom out a little bit. Alright, so here it is. Now it's going to be threading on this way. You want to go clockwise, because if you go counterclockwise when you thread it on, it's going to take off the tape. Hopefully you guys can see this. Okay, so take a little bit, try to open it up. Usually 5 or 6 passes usually is good enough. There's one, there's two. Tighten it up as I do it. 3, 4, and I'll do just 5 since I'm adding the pipe dope. Usually you can just pull it. There you go. Alright. Again, I don't think we need pipe dope, but mildly safe than sorry. Just a little bit. This is probably way overkill, but I want to, again, just also, you don't, make sure you try to just get on the threads. Alright, that should be good enough. I'm going to make sure I get any excess off, and I don't want it in the actual fitting. Just make sure. And that's it. I'm going to use a wrench. Let's thread this on. There it is. Alright, so I'm going to use pliers just to tighten it up. Alright, there we go. See, I'm tightening it up. Alright, that's pretty tight. This beast of a wrench is pretty awesome. Alright. And that's one down. So it's pretty tight. Teflon tape and pipe dope. That's one connection. All I got here. The other one's a little larger. This piece. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Alright, same thing. I'm going to do 5 passes of tape. And there's 5. Again, you do want to make sure you don't want to get it like actually in the opening itself. Alright, a little pipe dope. Again, clockwise. Here's this opening. There we go. All right, so that helps. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is enlarge or make the holes bigger for the new screw. There it is. Okay, that was just for the wood. Alright, so that was pretty loud. It's a pretty awesome machine. Alright, so I figured, watch them see them, they're much longer. Oop. Much stronger. Wow, that's gonna be super strong. It helps to have impact driver. Alright, you can see how strong that this impact driver is. It's like pushing the wood, making indentations. This one especially. So yeah, good. So even though this one's not that strong, I mean it's actually loose, it's not even into the wall. This one's super strong, this one's super strong. This one and this one. These are relatively strong, but again they were short. So it would have probably held, but I wanted to make sure that it was definitely secure. Now you can probably hang something like 100 pounds off this, which obviously you don't need. Alright, all the water's drained. This is where we separate the men from the boys. So I'm not going to use this because obviously I don't have clearance to the wall to get around it, which is why I got one of these. So I can actually go all the way around and cut it. So I did buy shark pipe push fittings just in case something went majorly wrong and I had to push fit really quickly so I can actually get water. All right, here we go. Here it is. Alright. No gushing water, which is good. It's a relief from the gushing water. So my shutoff valve is working, which is great. I'll put a bucket under there just in case. And alright. Not bad. Now, if I don't get water to the house tonight, I know my wife will kill me. That's another reason why I got the shark bites, just in case. There we go. And I don't need this pipe anymore since I know water's not coming out. I'm going to leave this gate valve open because when I do solder, if any steam comes out, we can go through there. See? If you can see those copper filings, we'll get them out for sure. Alright. I'm really glad I'm putting that purifier. I already have reverse osmosis at the point of use, but this is for the rest of the house. Whole house filter. I'll still keep the reverse osmosis as well. Alright, it looks pretty good. I already fluxed this side, and I've done all the work that I need to on this side, which is great. Once I dry fit it, I'm going to take the fin out, make sure it's good to go, and then I'm going to start. I think I missed a spot, so I'm going to do it again. So how that goes, I'll probably use too much solder, but I'll make sure there's no leaks. That one's way better than the other one. So the support that I got was too short for the clearance, so I ended up having to use it like just as a partial clamp to hold it in place. But the solder looks decent. I don't know if you can see that. I'm not be able to see that. This one looks pretty good too, but these actually came out way better than I expected. It's not really focusing, but I was able to mount this. I had to actually use my rotary hammer drill to go through the 5 screws because they were too long for just the plywood. So I ended up going through the cement or the concrete just to make sure that, you know, the screw had enough clearance to go all the way through. I'm going to be mounting this up there. I'm going to be using some Teflon tape along with pipe dope to connect it to these things right here. Flow reduction is really important, and then I'm going to be using some pipe dope as well. Although these have gaskets, so technically I don't think you need to. But you know what, I may not. I'll just use the Teflon tape. All right, so it's in there, pretty sturdy. I need to make the connections. Pipe dope. Instead of pipe dope, I'm just gonna use Teflon tape. And the gaskets that I have, I think that'll be good. The big test is gonna be whether or not there's any leaks, which hopefully won't. Remember, you gotta go the same direction you're gonna be threading because you don't want to unwind the Teflon tape. And there's 5. Alright, the same on the other side. There's 1. I'll keep the tape taut. It's easier to go around if you do it. And there's 5. Alright, that looks good. So I'm not going to use pipe dope because it has gaskets, but I did use Teflon tape. So it should be okay. If there's any leaks here, and these are the gaskets that come with these, which is Phyn provides. So you can see it's a pretty good fit. There's not a lot of space in there. I'm going to start threading it. They say to hand tighten and then use your pliers just a quarter turn. Again, you don't really have to do too much because there's a gasket in there and this is plastic, so you don't want to ruin the plastic. Alright, turn this one off. Turn this one off. Leaving this one on. I want to check for leaks. And then I'm going to plug this in and then give it a go. Moment of truth. I'm going to check for some leaks. Turn it on really slowly. You never want to go too fast. I'm going to check and I'll be right back. I just ran upstairs to make sure I closed off all the pipes. The ones that I opened, not upstairs, the ones down here. I double checked upstairs, so I turned it on slowly. Let's get it going a little faster. I don't see any leaks. Cross my fingers. No leaks. Well, I'm going to turn on full blast. Wow. Water's coming up here and it's being stopped here. I want to check this, and of course this up to this point. So I'm going to open it slowly, which is filling up basically that. Oh, I see a little leak. Oh, so I was supposed to do a quarter turn with my wrench, which I didn't do. So let me do that. All right, so quarter turn, here we go. That looks pretty good. It was leaking because I forgot to do that. I'm surprised this side didn't leak. All right, let's... Quarter turn. All right, so partial water's here. It's being stopped here. I'm turning this and full blast on this side. Great, so water's going through the fin and I'm gonna block the water right here. So there we go. It looks like it's working. I will plug it in and show you guys. Alright, fortunately my outlet is really close. I don't have to use all the cable ties and stuff to sort of manage it. You can see it's starting up. And we look good. I mean, I don't see any leaks. I've opened up a few faucets in the house. I'm going to turn on my hot water heater again. I'm going to set it up and see how it goes. I'm really excited. My next project's going to be cutting into this and installing a whole house water filter. But I'm pretty excited to get this going. I mean, no leaks. I am super psyched.